But today, we're going to be talking to leaders. What do followers want?
First of all, that I'm not feeling that my body will be used to execute movements. For me, as a follower dancing Zouk for 18 years, doesn't exist any excuse.
So we are constantly playing with our ginormous insecurity because all we want is a smile,
But I still feel so sad when I see a leader forcing a follower that she's not able to do a head movement.
And look at you dancing with Kuna. I know now that we are just going to provide different experiences that are equally nice.
All we want, all of us, leaders, followers, human beings, we want validation. That feeling that this works, this is nice, I am accepted.
Again, guys, the dance is just a mirror of how we live life and how we are as people.
But the leader put me in the wash machine and I'm staying there until he took me out of the wash machines.
There's a lot of pressure that comes from social media because the videos that are popping on social media, they are the videos of dancers doing the crazy stuff. So leaders feel that pressure to do that. Followers feel the pressure to be able to do that. And it's a whole pressure cooker that is making everybody very stressed and feeling like they can never be, they can never do, they can never get there. What do followers really want from a dance? Is it a long list of fancy moves, or is it something much simpler that most leaders miss? Let's discuss why inviting a movement is always better than forcing, and how to make your dancing unforgettable without the crazy patterns. Can we have a full dance experience in a much simpler way? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to ZoukNerds. In this episode, Gui Prada and I are joined by our beautiful guest, Paloma Alves. And we are talking directly to the leaders today about what followers truly crave, such as safety, being seen, and a real conversation. Paloma explains why force is never an excuse, how to build a slow progression in your dance, and why the best dances aren't about the crazy moves you learned in a workshop. Let's learn how to take the pressure off your shoulders and start truly listening to your partner. So, let's go! Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Alisson Sanji, and let's welcome our beautiful co-host, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui!
Hello, Alison. Hello, everybody. Back to be back.
That's right. We're back to be back with our beautiful co-host, Paloma Alves. Hello, Paloma.
Hello, guy. Back to every guy brings sis, but very happy to
it's a trademark.
It's a trademark now. Every time we have you now, it's going to be, we are back to be back.
Happy to be back.
Happy to be back.
They have, think 2 times I said back to be back.
Yes, that's the story, guys. If you're lost, go back to multiple episodes when we had Paloma before, and she said that once, and we're not letting it go. But today, we're going to be talking to leaders. Hi, leaders. But this is very important for followers as well to understand what's going on. Okay, so followers, please don't tune out. But leaders, we're going to be talking about what do followers want. Not just in terms of if you do this, you're good enough. If you don't do this, you're not good enough. But really, really asking Paloma, with all the experiences that you have, all the phases and journeys that you've been through, and teaching around the globe, traveling for 17 years.
18.
You have 18 years.
I will complete this year 18 years. Yeah.
You have this perspective that we are so lucky to have here today in the episode. So how do you want to start this, Paloma? Where do you want to go from?
Oh, wow.
You're in the driver's seat. Let's go. We are the guests today. Okay, hello, Paloma. No, this way. We are in your TED Talk. This is your TED Talk.
I'm feeling red. So many things to say, But as we was talking before, the first thing that come up to my mind is I used to say that I love to feel safe when someone's embrace me. And this safety means, first of all, that I'm not feeling that my body will be used to execute movements. Because it feels this way sometimes and can be scary. It can be just a lot of discomfort. And I understand that is not no one's fault in terms of, oh, the person takes me and use me. I don't believe that, but I believe so much that we can change the narrative in terms of, I heard a lot from leaders too that they are scared to be bored, that they really wanted to make an interesting dance.
Sorry, they're scared to be boring.
Boring.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
To be boring. So they learn movements. They want to have repertoire. And that's solely okay, because a comfort dance or a safety dance doesn't mean just to be on spot and embrace. It means many things, but one of those things that are very important is for me to leaders understand that they will not build their story by themselves. They have someone in front of them, the follower, that also have their part of on the conversation. So truly for me means 50-50. Doesn't matter the level. We need an amount of trust that this follower in front of you doesn't need to be moved, needs to be invited to move. And then by the invitation, you will start to see how this body moves. What is the story behind this body? And really trying to be together with this person and not, oh, let me help. Because sometimes I hear this a lot too. Oh, I lead this way because I need to help the follower. Or because I dance with a lot of beginners. Please, leaders, with all my heart, don't use this as an excuse. For me, as a follower, dancing Zouk for 18 years, doesn't exist any excuse. Sorry.
That's it, Mahia. Let it out. Let it out.
For you use force. Don't use force. Please. Okay, come back. The thing is, sometimes is you spend lots of time learning new movements, but not much time enough to know how to read someone's body, to know how to communicate, to know the quality that you can put in that movement. So, Paloma, I need to learn movements. I need to learn quality. I need to learn how to read someone's body. Wait, sometimes by you just have more awareness of your own movement, you will start to lead more from your body and not so much from your hands and arms. So inside of your learning, actually going deep on yourself, you will start to actually using less this idea that you really need to move this person, to make this movement happen. Actually, if I will be simple and less abstract, is let me check how this person moves when I offer that direction, that angle. Or maybe she doesn't feel safe when I move her head. I can see her shoulders going up. I remember Gui said in one class that he wants to ask for the leaders, actually you did, when the leaders understand, they will quit. They will not do head movements. And people would get like, no answer.
Yeah, I ask, how do you decide to not do hand movements? And how do you decide to do head movements? Yeah, that was the question. Like, how is your decision-making process, or what is your decision-making process to go for a head movement and not go for a head movement?
And I'm really afraid to share my opinion right now in such like very honest and vulnerable way, because like I really don't want to like, oh, you guys doing this wrong, you need to do that. Like, that's not my purpose, but I want to bring more clarity that sometimes what the leaders are doing, it's far a bit from what the followers want in terms of, I want to be listened, I want to be seen first, then like seen as a thing to do movements, you know? Or I remember a follower told me once, like, I feel that the leaders wants to train all the movements they know, they learn from the workshop. And I don't like that sensation. I don't feel like for 5 seconds that they really embrace me. They already go to do the movement. So then I started to teach and also think more about this slow burn, like, or build up the dance, you know, because it's not about to not do movements, but it's about how we build up the communication to see how far we go in this story. And then one dance can be more weight transfer and movements on a vertical position, time to we sync our weight transfer. And believe me, when we ask, and we have been asking a lot for students what they expect on a dance, not just for followers, but also for leaders, what makes a dance unforgettable? We don't hear, I never heard one single time a movement. Oh, what's make a dance unforgettable is counterbalance, is spin, is 25 toallas. Those things are part of the dance, and it's amazing. We have a huge repertoire in our dance. But how we do those movements, how we check with each other if we are there. Sometimes I like to say, hey, I'm not there yet. You would go a little bit earlier than me. I'm still here, you know? And I know, let's say, from my perspective, from perspective that I take from many followers that come to learn with me, that it's not that we don't want to be there and doing the movements. Actually, we want that a lot. We as followers, we have kind of this chip that we don't give up. We really want to understand. We trained so much to understand, to do the right things. But because of that, sometimes we lose connection with the things that make us safe, that make us comfortable with our movement. So it's so nice when someone's embrace us, breathe, and we feel the space of the invitation. Because this space of when you invite someone to do something has a moment for the answer. My answer. You said something, I hear, and then it's time for me to say something and you listen.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want bread and butter. You don't need the whole Subway sandwich. Sometimes it's just bread and butter on a toast. And that's what you want because that's the quality, not the quantity or the extras, right?
Yeah.
So much.
The thing is, we have been saying this for so many years, every class we go. What do you think is preventing people from really believing what we're saying? What do you think is holding them back to say, okay, I'll focus on my awareness. Okay, I will listen. Okay, I'll shift weights. What do you think holds people back from saying this? Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. The first thing that come up to my mind, and especially, I would not say especially, I would just say like the first thing that come up to my mind, a knowledge that can be very silly. You know, when people say like, our beauty is not important. What's more important is what you have inside. But and then we see in the society so much like people like...
The standard of what beauty is.
Yes, reinforce that so much. It's pretty much that. So when we see outside on videos, on classes, what is there? The quantity, movement. Oh, you are fun, you are nice, you are like cool if you do those movements. Because what we are searching for is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
We are not really able to see. Sometimes we can if we train our eyes, we can see when a dance is comfortable, when we give that feeling, that fresh air, right? But that's for me, it's the first thing that comes to my mind when prevents them to really search for more awareness. I can say something that is positive. I don't want to just be maybe negative. I don't know if I'm being negative with the things that I said, but it's like more offensive is better.
Yeah.
For sure.
We talked about that in the last episode. So go back, guys, so you understand what we're talking about. Defensive teaching, defensive dancing, defensive speaking.
Have it in front of your eyes. Enjoy.
Yes.
Fine.
Enjoy. I had.
This is your TED Talk. We're here to listen.
More and more, but it's still not enough. Some leaders come to a private class with me and like, they don't ask for movement. They ask for like, hey, I want to understand how can I communicate better? How can I give more comfort to my dance? But and then I check that, and when I go to the social, where is this? Where are those leaders that really search for this? Sometimes I don't have much time like to stand and watch the party, but I still feel so like kind of sad when I see a leader forcing a follower that we are able to see that she's not able to do a head movement yet. Or someone that is losing balance and that person keeps turning the follower. And like, where are the people that really are searching for communication and not execution? So I really believe that is on us teachers a lot, but it is also on the students, on the community. So followers, I know that is more for the leaders, but followers, I know that we sometimes, in the terms of we are not in giving up, we keep doing something that is hurting us. We are not communicating them that, hey, this doesn't work. By force, this doesn't work. So this is also for the followers to understand that we are not obligated to keep doing, to keep forcing ourselves in a dance that doesn't exist this amount of communication. That's one point that for me is important, even a reminder for myself, because being a teacher, I still have that chip inside of me that I wanted to make it happen, even if the person doesn't know how to do. And I believe we all have the intention of going together to have a good experience. We love that dance. We train that dance. We study that dance. Let's go and say yes. But inside of this yes, what is the commitment? To do movements or to communicate? To check with ourselves what we can build together. And I know as well that from the past until now, leaders is still, and maybe it's in the name, leaders, we feel the pressure of leading the way, to guide that, to build that story. But it's an invitation for you guys to like, let's share this. Also because I heard from the leaders too that, when it's my time, I need to provide comfort. I need to understand the movement. I need to lead right. I need to protect the...
A lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs. I understand, guys. I lead too. But and then I also understand that when I really trust that I'm together with someone in that experience, I remove a bit the heaviness on my shoulders. And like, yeah, I'm with you. What we gonna do together? And if this person gives a little, I will not force more. I'll really check in this little the beauty we can find together. So my invitation is for you guys to trust more in the person in front of you and to invite it more than execute. Remember that if we see Zouk as a language, the movements are the words, the sequence are the sentences. And what is the meaning we wanted to transmit? What is the meaning that I want to listen from my follower? So, how much you are listening during the dance? Ask yourself, Or sometimes ask your friend, ask someone for feedback. And this is for both sides, for leaders and for followers. But for many good leaders that I heard from, they ask, they talk about it. They are open to change and to receive information. Things that we like to teach, we keep studying on ourselves. In most of those things, they are not movement-wise. They are more like how to refine the technique, that it's about touching. It's about to enjoy the impulse. It's about the invitation. Take advantage of something that has already happened to change direction.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure that comes from social media, like you mentioned before, for beauty standards, for what to buy and how much money to make and how to dance. Because when you see the videos that are popping on social media, most of the times they are the videos of dancers doing the crazy stuff. So leaders feel that pressure to do that. Followers feel the pressure to be able to do that. And it's a whole pressure cooker that is making everybody very stressed and feeling like they can never be. They can never do. They can never get there. And it's interesting because I've been doing a lot of work to really detach myself from that, to the point that now I have a new issue. You know, I'm always going to have an issue. So the new issue is, guys, I am dancing. I'm enjoying. I'm having fun. But I keep seeing myself, telling myself in the middle of the dance, this is not challenging enough. This is not complex enough. Oh, the dance is so yummy. Everything's so beautiful. It seems like both of us are having a great time. But maybe, am I making the follower feel like I don't think they're good enough because I'm not trying the difficult things and the challenging things? Like it's a whole board meeting in my brain while the dance is happening and people are discussing inside of my brain. And I'm like, one is saying like, no, look, everything is going great. And the other one is saying, no, we need more. So it's this whole confusing thing because I sometimes as a leader, I feel like maybe I'm not providing the experience that they see on social media or the experience that they see when I'm dancing with a different person. It's very, very complex because I'm trying to stay a little bit more, whatever happens, happens. But sometimes that voice comes into my head and tell me, hey, maybe you should try more.
Yeah, the silent powers that influence our decision-making, our minds, and what is the reference of a good leader have huge impacts. I might be playing devil's advocate here about this whole idea of awareness and slowing down and all of that, because I have experience sometimes with the awareness that I have today, with the dance that I have today, with this whole thing that I have today, experiencing this is in where the person, we couldn't find a way together. It's almost like the person was just dancing because they didn't have the courage to say no, perhaps. They said yes, by default said yes, but I could feel that they were not engaged with me, and then we have a situation where we go immediately in our heads and we can't get out of it. And we are in a constant pursuit for some level of reaction from the other person and some sign that experience is enjoyable. So a smile, something like this. Man, sometimes Pi is not even conscious. The thing that we do, we open and dance and then we go. Like, I'll try this thing, I'll try this thing. So you start to shift into the movements and you try to have the movements be the thing that will bring you that approval or recognition that you are wanting to receive from the person in front of you, So we talk sometimes about the triangle of priorities. So we have the movement, the connection, and the music. And I think for most people, leaders and followers, the priority is in the movement at times. And what I think we have been talking about is to shift the priority to the connection, and then shift back to the movement, and then shift to the music. So just keep shifting the triangle over and over again, but giving some attention to the connection piece of it. When a leader is in a situation of insecurity where we think nothing is work, for some reason, the triangle flips to movement and we go crazy. We go a little bit crazy. And there's this other thing too for us. It's sometimes really hard to believe these things because of, again, the social media and because of what we observe in the social too. We see a follower dancing with a leader and they're doing all these things and then she's laughing and oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And you look at your own skill and think, I can do 5% of all that stuff over there. When she comes dance with me, that smile that follower has on their face right now, it's gonna disappear. And I'm gonna hate this thing so much. So we go already thinking that we cannot provide in the same extent that leader was providing to the followers. So we are constantly playing with our ginormous insecurity because all we want is a smile. It's some way of saying we are together on this. We can go together on this. Nowadays, I have enough awareness and enough understanding to realize that sometimes the feedback loop doesn't happen for a wide variety of reasons. So I stopped thinking that it's all because of me. But I remember back in the day that I thought, I suck. I definitely don't know how to do this thing. Now I know. And now I was able to convince myself that even though I just looked at the follower, let's say I look at you dancing with Kuna, and you guys are doing all these things and you are in a trance, meditative state, reaching enlightenment, boom. And man, I know now that we are just going to provide different experiences that are equally nice. They're equally pleasurable. We're going to go through different pathways. We're going to use different tools. And that's the beauty of it. So for me, it's getting to an understanding where there is something you can provide and that something is unique, tapping into that, recognizing yourself as someone who can provide the thing and go for it. But that is really hard. That took me so many years of mindful observation, of understanding really well, and at some point, believing what we have been saying here. At some point, I needed to believe. Guys, what Paloma is saying, my teachers told me. That was 2009. Almost the same thing. But back in 2009, the role model of the great social dancing were how it felt. Because we didn't have Instagram, but we did have the beginning of YouTube. But what was the whispers, what the bards would sing about, the legends, or about how good it was to dance with this and that teacher, to this and that dancer. And then we would watch them dance in the social. And we would be watching the moves, of course, but we were mostly watching the faces, the quality of the dance, the quality of each movement. Because socials were crowded, there's not much space to do a bunch of stuff. So people kept to the basic and the traveling and the floor craft. But I remember having these fanboy moments when a name I heard about was in the social. Oh, Fulano is here. And we'll go and then where is he? Where is he? We couldn't find the person just by watching the social because they were not doing something too much or too different. Somebody needed to point, is that person over there? And then we could see, so the professional, we could not see them right away. They will mingle in the crowds, and then we needed to know who the person is. And then by observing them dance, we were like, oh, this person knows what they're doing. And I think with today, where the reference point of a good dance directly or indirectly became the dances we do to demonstrate the full might of the dance, the full power of it, in demonstrations. And when we post the videos of the first places of the competitions, we ended up creating the new role model. So this is what the good dance is. So even though we say these things, I'm a little bit more pessimistic in the idea of how long it would take for people to finally believe and flip that triangle to connection, and then flip back to movements, and then flip back to music a little bit more.
Yeah. When you said about the triangle, when you said about your own personal experience, like what comes to my mind is like all we want, all of us, leaders, followers, human beings, we want validation. We want to have that feeling that this works, this is nice, I am accepted. But the other thing is we have no control. Actually, with this amount of elements that we have in our dance, we have no control or formula. I really don't believe exists one perfect way for we begin a dance, where we have the best communication, because we are all different. So, and then in the end of the day, one of things that I heard from you, I heard from Luan, for example, is the intention behind. What is before the dance, before you go and embrace someone. And I think sometimes it's also the intention that moves you during your process of learning, during the process of you growing with your dance. And maybe this is my invitation. Check on yourself, leaders, followers too, but what is the source of your motivation when you go dance with someone? Is it cute movement? Because it could be. And it's okay, oh, this movement is super cool and I really want to execute. But it's like really being, again, I feel repetitive, but being again with someone in that experience, whatever result that comes from this experience. Because, yeah, maybe I'm saying those things and then you reflect, yeah, Paloma likes this and that. But then you're going to see me laughing on the dance floor, doing crazy stuff, and then you're gonna see me at the floor dance 5 songs just here, breathing on spot. I'm the type of follower that love all the elements, but my point is will be different with each person. With Gui, with Kuno, with Luan, a different experience, because I even tried with myself, with my thoughts here, to not fix that I'm going to provide one experience for the person. Actually, I don't know. I dance with Gui, and for me, every dance, it is different. Because I'm different, he is different, but kind of feel this silent commitment with each other to listen where we are today, where we are now, and not so committed with the result. And I know that it can be so easily for us to understand that, oh, but if I get that result, and then the world will be ideal. I will be accepted, I will be cool, I will be validated. But we have no control of the result. We have actually the power of settle our intention. And each person will going to have a different intention. But my dream for all of us is when we go dancing with other person in front of us, we be a little bit more empty of results and more full of that intention of being connected, or that intention that, yeah, I will try my best to communicate it with you.
I think it's changing the goals. The goals is not the result. The goal could be the process. The process that will take you somewhere which unknown, it's an unknown place that you discovered in the process. Now, reality, we are more introduced to results when we observe the outside world. So I'll give one example. There is a movie that I really like from Studio Ghibli called The Boy and the Heron. It was the last movie from Studio Ghibli and won the Oscar and everything. I watched the movie 3 times already. Loved the movie. And then I watched a documentary that followed the process of creating the movie. It took 7 years for him to create the movie. And then you understand who each character represents. And then you see the difficulty there was to draw a scene that the boy is eating jelly, and how it was hard for them to draw by hand the scene. And then watching the movie again, you're like, oh my God, you cry again, you see the whole process because you understood the process, you observed the process. And I think it's the same thing with watching these shows about cooking that I really like on Netflix, because you see the process that the cook goes through to create something. And that made me fascinated by the process that takes someone to master a certain skill. So when dancing, I am more in tune with the process than I am with the result, because the process is what is interesting. And getting to the result as a culmination of the journey that we went to get in the process is much more rewarding. So I understand sometimes that me as a primary leader, that insecurity that comes from not receiving the validation, not receiving the recognition from my partner, disconnects me from this awareness of the process. And I go into, let me do something. Let me get to this end part here to see if this, but this is almost like a desperation for something that I want so badly. Again, guys, the dance is just a mirror of how we live life and how we are as people. And for the leaders who are a lot, like we said, moved by these insecurities, the invitation remains to connect with the process of creating the dance with a partner, because of the nature of the role. That's what we bring. That's what we provide. We provide this container in which the story, in which the flow will flow. So it requires a level of awareness from us. And we say this, and we wanted to do this episode too, because my experience of the same social is very different from the experience that Paloma has of the same social. And we hear that very often from leaders and followers, especially the teachers that travel together. The teacher has an experience, the leader, and the follower has a different one, sometimes a very different one. And we get into our rest room, and the leader is like, oh my God, this was amazing. And the follower was like, I don't know what you're talking about, you know? And that, I think, is really due to this aspect that the leaders are just more focused on pleasing by what they think is the pleasing thing to do. And we almost need to rewire everything to say, this is cool. And before that, this is much cooler. So work here. So when you get here, it's going to be so much more amazing because we have built up to that point.
I remember once someone said that to me, like, oh, I had an amazing time, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, of course, you can control this story. But the leader put me in the wash machine and I'm staying there until he took me out of the wash machine. So, and then I was like, by the time, and believe me, that doesn't work all the time. I start to understand that as a follower, I also can affect the story. Even when someone tried to put me inside of the wash machine, you know? But it depends a lot of the amount of openness of this person in front of me to hear my response of their leading. Just remember one thing about you said then, the exciting of the leader. Like when I lead, I also feel sometimes when I embrace a follower and I'm like in my mind trying to like read my body, her body, and check our communication. And I feel that she's already ahead. She's already like in another part of our dance. And then I give up. And then I start to realize that, yes, I can have all of my intentions, but actually how would be to be confident of have no answer, no right way. And then actually ask you, Gui, these two, because at some point I realized that it's me as a leader, especially being that place of the unknown, to see the follower in front of me as a completely different story every time. Some followers stay and they embrace and then we can build up. And with others, I feel that, yeah, if I go inside of lateral and start to do a few movements, it feels like I let space for her to speak before I speak more. And sometimes I want that because I don't want to give for you an answer or for no one an answer that I like a dance to start in that way. I want a dance to be in that way. But I really want and I desire as a follower someone in front of me that can we check what's going on today? Can we both commit it off We don't know what's going to happen. And whatever comes will be good because we are on this together.
I think a lot of the stress and anxiety comes from focusing on the experience and the process or the expectations and the results. So like what you guys describing, I wrote this line here just to summarize in my head. When we're focusing on the experience and the process, we're more present. We're more there from the very beginning for anything that happens. But when you're focusing on the expectations or the results, that's when things get a little bit, off. Like, for example, as a leader, when I'm about to dance with somebody that I feel like I need to do something, I already put that expectation on myself to present a certain result. That's it, stress and anxiety. Or as a follower, if you're about to dance with a leader, same thing. Or sometimes as a leader, I'm chill, but I start dancing with the follower and I get the energy from the follower that they're expecting something from me. Because there's that something type of energy that maybe they're nervous, maybe they're excited, maybe there's something, but there's an energy of like, I'm here, I'm ready. You can do whatever you want. But whatever I want was what was happening. Like whatever I want, not me wanting, but whatever I felt that the moment was asking for was whatever was happening. But I think maybe that follower or the leader already came with an expectation of dancing with this person to get something as a result. So I don't know. I go and I ask Gui for a dance in the social and I'm like, I just want to feel hugged for my life. But then, the DJ is going crazy and Gui goes crazy. And I'm like, I didn't get hugged by him. He was just doing all of this stuff. So I went with a certain expectation for a result that I didn't get. And that's a big issue with how we connect in social dancing, like full stop.
I think you said it all, Alisson. I think you summarized. At the end of the day, everything we said comes down to presence. Focusing on the process is a matter of presence. And Paloma saying the communication, let's see what we can build together. Again, another manifestation of presence. I think it's all relating to this idea of this abstract idea of presence, which manifests in the physical body through the intention of being present, through the desire of being present and the curiosity to learn. The best way, and I say best way for me is really related to the ease. How easy it will be on the mind and the body to go through those movements, So as a leader these days, I have like a toolbox of movements and of dynamics that empirically, over time, I know resonate with more people. It's almost like I know this food here will taste good for most palates. Most palates will enjoy this dish. So I serve this dish first. What about this dish here? Let's try. And then from there...
It's safe.
Yeah, it's safe. From there, more salt, more pepper, take this out, put the meat, take the meat, put the fish, take the fish. So we start making a different cuisine from that point, but there is a starting point. One thing that I realized one time, there's something in Portuguese we say, deixa que eu deixo. Leave it that I leave it to, which is I'm waiting for an input from the follower is waiting the input from me, and we're waiting for each other to input from each other. And then nothing happens. We literally stand on the spot. This happened a couple of times. So I need to present an initial one. Let's go this way. Because one thing that we mentioned too is that the leader, he leads transitions. He doesn't lead the execution. The execution of the movements, the follower executes. And that's how we learn. We learn through observing the execution. We lead the transition. So we take that execution, transition into a new one, our patterns or movements. So I'm leading the transition from a viradinha into a lateral. But I'm not leading the execution of the viradinha and the execution of the lateral. That's the followers. And that's how I learn. How big they step, how quick they step, where their weight is, how my hands and arms shape to the shape of their bodies as they're doing the movements, as I feel confident in my positioning, I know that I can position myself efficiently, so I reduce effort on my body, while having that viradinha antilateral being that dish. Like, here it is. Here's the dish that most people know how to do. Most people appreciate this dish here, which is our viradinha antilateral, you know? So this would be like a way that I can put in practical terms what for me is the presence, is the observing the process. You have an initial idea, you present that, you lead the transition from one thing to the other, and you are tuned in, observing the execution with your eyes and with your touch, with your connection. So seeing our touch, our connection as extensions of our eyes and throats. Through there we see, and through here we communicate.
So much, and what you say, lead the transition for me, it's giving an invitation. And it's so good when someone invite for something and not force me to be someone else with my body.
Okay, Paloma, just before we finish, I do have one more very important question that I would like to ask. How can leaders lead as a conversation that we want to create, but they're not like advanced professional yet? They're beginners. Maybe they're intermediate. How can they create a conversation at that level?
I believe like when we learn basic step, when we learn the first embrace, it has already enough for us to say the first words, like we say, hi, how are you? So again, connect with the idea of dance is a language. That will be the amount that you have for that communication right now, and trust that we're going to be enough. So practice on top of what you receive. So you receive basic, embrace, lateral. Go deeper on the observations of what you do and what you receive from your follower. Because yes, we're going to have a leader that is beginner, a follower that is beginner, and how can they find that conversation? Really trusting what they have, it is enough for this initial conversation. What sometimes for me block us to take advantage for the things we already have is being ahead. Is being like, I would just gonna have a good dance if I know this, this, and that. So these already prevent us to be in the presence because we are focused on something that we don't have yet. So my advice is go deeper on the sensation of the first things you learn. So yes, I learned basic, how I feel when I do my steps, or how this person in front of me do their steps. That's my advice in terms of beginners, for example. I don't believe you need to be an advanced leader to build that container of communication.
So then what would be your last message for our leaders here? If you could imprint something in their minds and bodies that'll last a long time, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say leaders. Be curious. Don't try to be the one that always have the answer. Trust that you can find lots of answers together with the person you decided to dance. The person in front of you will want to build that story together, that dance. Remove a bit the heaviness on your shoulders to lead it all, and find a ways to amplify your listening. And for me, that's the way that also will help you to be more in presence with your partner and not so much attached on the results you want to get it. You can find so much more different results when you are really in tune with the person in front of you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Amazing. That was Chef's Kiss.
Thank you, guys. So hard.
Chef's Kiss from Paloma Alves. Guys, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
another beautiful episode, Paloma. We are so excited that both of you are going to be traveling together around the world and sharing all of the knowledge. But at the same time, a little bit selfishly, we here at ZoukNerds, we're happy that you guys are traveling together so then we can have you as a guest as well. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Milad.
And once again, if you like what we do here and you're enjoying this podcast, please like, follow, subscribe, and share this with your friends so we can continue growing this community and this platform as well. And we'll see you all with us on the next episode. So thank you, everybody. Beijos, abraços, and ciao.
Ciao, everyone.